Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. World excited about India's growth investment. Prime Minister Narendra Modi at NDTV World Summit. As US presidential fight rages on, Harris accuses Trump of demeaning the office of president, while Trump intensifies attacks on immigrants. Israel begins bombing Hezbollah's banks and other financial infrastructure as Hezbollah targets adversaries' military bases. And UN Biodiversity Summit opens with call for significant funding. In cricket, New Zealand lifts Maiden ICC Women's T20 World Cup title, beats South Africa by 32 runs. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century, in New Delhi today. Speaking at the summit, the Prime Minister said India is working in all sectors. It is moving on an unprecedented scale.
$125 days में गरीबों के लिए 3 करोड़ नए पक्के घरों को मंजूरी मिली है। 125 डेज में हमने 9 लाख करोड़ रुपए के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट पर काम शुरू किया है। 125 डेज में हमने 15 नई वंदे भारत ट्रेनें चलाई हैं। 8 नए एयरपोर्ट पे के काम शुभारंभ हुए हैं। इन्हीं 125 डेज में हमने युवाओं के लिए 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए का पैकेज दिया है। हमने किसानों के बैंक खातों में 21,000 करोड़ रुपए सीधे ट्रांसफर किए हैं। हमने 70 साल से अधिक के बुजुर्गों के लिए 5 लाख रुपए तक के मुफ्त इलाज की व्यवस्था की है। आप भारत में हो रहे काम का दायरा देखिए। 125 डेज में 5 लाख घरों में रूफटॉप सोलर प्लांट लगाए गए हैं।
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted the achievements made under Udan scheme over the years.
उड़ान योजना के तहत करीब 3 लाख फ्लाइट्स उड़ान भर चुकी हैं। इनमें 1.5 करोड़ आम नागरिक सफर कर चुके हैं। आज 600 से अधिक रूट्स उड़ान के तहत और इनमें से ज्यादातर छोटे शहरों को कनेक्ट करते हैं। 2014 में देश में 70 के आसपास एयरपोर्ट थे। आज देश में एयरपोर्ट की संख्या 150 को पार कर गई है। उड़ान योजना ने दिखाया है कि कैसे समाज की एस्पिरेशन विकास को गति देती है।
PM Modi also mentioned about India's determination to double the usage of artificial intelligence in every sector and to provide solutions to the world.
इसी साल भारत ने इंडिया AI मिशन शुरू किया है। हेल्थ केयर हो, एजुकेशन हो, स्टार्टअप्स हो, भारत हर सेक्टर में AI का उपयोग बढ़ा रहा है। हम दुनिया को भी बेहतर AI सॉल्यूशंस देने में जुटे हैं। क्वाड के स्तर पर भी भारत ने कई सारे इनिशिएटिव लिए हैं। भारत दूसरे AI यानी एस्पिरेशनल इंडिया को लेकर भी उतना ही गंभीर है।
With the US presidential election little more than 2 weeks away, the Democratic candidate Kamala Harris is in an interview to a news channel used harsh words for her rival Donald Trump. She said Trump demeans the office of president because of the words he often uses and his use of coarse language. Meanwhile, the Democrat Kamala Harris visited 2 churches in Georgia, participated in 2 worship services outside of Atlanta as part of her campaign. She will campaign on Monday with Republican former Representative Liz Cheney. Early voting has begun in more than half of U.S. states. The latest polls suggest Harris has a small lead nationally over Trump, but they are neck and neck in the key battlegrounds. Both candidates were scrambling for votes in the most competitive states, with Harris appealing to early voters in Georgia and Trump campaigning in Pennsylvania. At a town hall in Lancaster, Trump said he will fix the border almost immediately.
Have the tattoo.
Earlier, Donald Trump visited a McDonald's in Philadelphia and tried working in a French fry station and drive-through window. Trump said the McDonald's visit was intended in part as jab at Harris. Earlier on Sunday, Trump went after Harris, calling her a threat to democracy and using offensive words to describe her job as vice president. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris turned 60. She celebrated her birthday by visiting 2 churches on the campaign trail in Georgia. And for a change, she heard good words from her rival Trump as a birthday wish. Members of the congregation at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Georgia wished happy birthday to Kamala Harris. Harris is in Georgia to court early voters before the November 5th election. She will also speak at Divine Faith Ministries International in Jonesboro, where she plans to encourage worshippers to exercise their voting rights. Republican nominee and her rival Donald Trump wished her a happy birthday as she turned 60, but said U.S. President Joe Biden likes him more than her.
It's her 60th birthday, so I want to wish her a happy 60th birthday. Right? No? No, happy birthday. And many more, and I mean it, so, you know, I do mean it, actually. I believe that Joe Biden likes me more than he likes Kamala. And who would think that?
Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk rallied solo for former U.S. President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, urging people to vote in the key swing state of Pennsylvania. Musk gave a $1 million check to an attendee at a rally, which was hosted by America PAC, a political action group of Tesla. Musk is promising to give $1 million each to someone on random basis who signs his online petition. To be eligible for the $1 million petition, signers must be registered voter and live in one of the 7 swing states. Musk has increasingly supported Republican causes and this year became an outspoken Trump supporter. Trump in turn has said that if elected, he would appoint Musk to head a government efficiency commission. Meanwhile, Pennsylvania's Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro called on law enforcement to investigate Elon Musk for his promise to give away $1 million each day until Election Day. DD India is on an election trail to the United States. My colleague Shubhendu Ghosh is in New York. He scans through some of the prominent newspapers and takes us through the latest developments in the political contest for the White House.
I am on the banks of East River in New York, and behind me you can see the characteristic high-rise skyline of the city. Let's scan through some of the big election stories as they've appeared in the newspapers today. Let's begin with the New York Times. On the front page, it says Trump banks on migration as the main issue. He believes certain 2016 strategies, that's when he won, will work again. There is a reference to his Atlanta public meeting where he, in a very visually moving manner, spoke about the dangers of unregulated immigration. And Trump goes on to say that immigration is the #1 issue of 2024 elections. Beats out the economy, beats out all to me, it's not even close. He also says that United States, in reference to immigration, the illegal immigration, says is an occupied country, but on 5th of November 2024, that will be Liberation Day in America. 5th of November is the election day. So Donald Trump putting his weight behind the issue that he thinks will work wonders for him. Moving on, a story from the perspective of the Democrats. To win Kamala Harris needs to do what Hillary Clinton, couldn't do in the pro-Trump areas. The reference is to the key swing state of Pennsylvania, Beaver County in particular. The article says how Barack Obama, his running mate Joe Biden when he was running for presidency, and Kamala Harris this time, each one of them have put in great energy in convincing the voters, the electorate, that they are the best people to lead the country. So the next paper we are picking up is the Daily News. There's an article about the manner in which former President Barack Obama is doing all he can to woo the voters on behalf of Kamala Harris. The editorial reads, Bam Wright said it wrong. Don't vote for Kamala Harris because she's black, but because she's facing dawn. That's the principal argument that Barack Obama is making in Pittsburgh at a campaign event. Expresses concerns that black men may not be feeling the idea of having women as president, and you're coming up with other alternatives and reasons for that. After some polls suggested that Kamala Harris' support is waning among black men, Obama, the nation's first black president, hit the campaign trail to admonish the disillusion in the best possible manner that he could. But those were some of the highlights of the election stories in the newspapers. With camera person S. Jaishankar, Shubhendu Ghosh in New York for DD India.
In a major update from West Asia conflict, Israel gave a document last week to the United States with its conditions for a diplomatic solution to end the war in Lebanon. Israel has demanded its defense forces be allowed to engage in active enforcement to make sure Hezbollah doesn't rearm and rebuild its military infrastructure in the areas of southern Lebanon that are close to the border. Citing an Israeli official, Axios reported that Israel also demanded its air force have freedom of operation in Lebanese airspace. Meanwhile, White House Special Envoy Amos Hochstein is visiting Beirut on Monday to discuss a diplomatic solution to the conflict. On the other hand, Israel has intensified its military campaigns both in Gaza and Lebanon days after the killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Though his death had raised hopes of an opening for ceasefire negotiations to end more than a year of conflict, but in further escalation, Israel has begun bombing Lebanese branches of an association accused of financing Iran-backed Hezbollah. Hundreds of Beirut residents fled their homes late on Sunday, with multiple explosions heard across the Lebanese capital. 11 strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs, many of them targeting Al-Qard al-Hassan. Other strikes hit the association in Lebanon's eastern Bekaa Valley and in country's south. There was no immediate information on what caused the blasts or further details of any casualties. The Hezbollah-linked financial institution has more than 30 branches across Lebanon, including 15 across central Beirut and its suburbs. An Israeli military spokesperson earlier issued a warning to leave infrastructure belonging to Hezbollah Al-Qard al-Hassan Association.
We will attack a large number of targets in the coming hours and further targets during the night. In coming days, we will also expose how Iran has financed the terror activities of Hezbollah and used civilian institutions, associations and NGOs as cover for their terror operations. We will attack them during the night and we will update in due course on the outcome in coming days.
A strike had landed near Beirut's airport, which is the main entry point of humanitarian assistance to the country and a major evacuation hub for those fleeing the conflict. A plane from Dubai landed in Beirut's international airport in early hours of Monday, about 30 to 40 minutes after huge blasts rang out in the vicinity of the airport. The smoke rising from those blasts was seen visible as Me-429 from Dubai was landing. Soon after, Hezbollah said it had downed an Israeli Hermes 450 drone on Sunday without saying where. The Iran-backed group also said that it had fired several rocket salvos at Israeli troops across the border without providing any information. The 16th conference of the parties, or COP16, to the UN's Convention on Biological Diversity begins today. About 12,000 delegates, including 140 government ministers and 7 heads of state, are due to attend the world's biggest nature protection conference held every 2 years. 12-day event themed Peace with Nature has the urgent task of coming up with monitoring and funding mechanisms to ensure that 23 UN targets agreed in 2022 to halt and reverse species destruction can be met by 2030. In his inaugural video message, UN Chief Antonio Guterres urged significant investment in a fund created to safeguard Earth's biodiversity. Guterres added destroying nature increases conflict, hunger and disease, fuels poverty and slashes GDP. News coming from Cuba. Millions of Cubans awoke on Sunday to find their homes still without power after another partial grid failure overnight. Cuba had restored power to 160,000 clients in Havana just prior to the grid's collapse, giving some residents a glimmer of hope. Hurricane Oscar bore down on the Caribbean island, bringing strong winds and rain to northeastern Cuba and threatening to further complicate the government's efforts to re-establish service. Cuba's Meteorological Survey warned of an extremely dangerous situation in eastern Cuba. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Aiming to ring in significant benefits to the economy, Maldives set to roll out India's UPI soon. In cricket, New Zealand's Suzie Bates becomes the most capped player in women's international cricket.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Russia to attend the 16th BRICS Summit on October 22-23. The summit, themed Strengthening Multilateralism for Just Global Development and Security, will provide an important platform for leaders to discuss key global issues. The summit will offer a valuable opportunity to assess the progress of initiatives launched by BRICS and to identify potential areas for future collaboration. During his visit, Prime Minister is also expected to hold bilateral meetings with his counterparts from BRICS member countries and invited leaders in Kazan. And also, Maldives has decided to introduce India's unified payment interface. President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu's office said that the move is expected to bring significant benefits to the Maldivian economy, including increased financial inclusion, improved efficiency in financial transactions, and enhanced digital infrastructure. Further, the president has decided to set up a consortium for the same. He also suggested that banks, telecom companies, state-owned companies and fintech companies operating in the country should be included in the consortium. India's financial interface is operational in several international locations including UAE, Sri Lanka, France, Malaysia, Singapore, Nepal, UK and Mauritius. India's aviation sector took a significant leap forward with the launch of the UDAN scheme in 2016. Aimed at democratizing air travel, UDAN focuses on connecting underserved and remote regions, ensuring that affordable flights are within reach for every Indian, revolutionizing regional connectivity.
The UDAN scheme, a revolution in India's aviation sector. In 2016, the Indian government launched the National Civil Aviation Policy with a groundbreaking initiative. The scheme was launched on October 21st, 2016 with a vision to make air travel accessible to every citizen following the slogan Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. It aimed to improve aviation infrastructure and air connectivity, especially in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. The first Udan flight took off on April 27, 2017, marking a historic moment in Indian aviation.
What Udan scheme has done, not just for connecting people, it has also helped to build the aviation sector and industry in the country. Today, if you look at the number of airlines that operate under the Udan scheme, leave aside the bigger airlines which we are all familiar with. We have airlines which operate either fully on the under Udan scheme or to a large extent under the Udan scheme. And these are all recent. In some ways, you could say this is creating the environment for these small operators to come, start up type of airlines to come up and start operating, and then with the ambition of growing bigger as time goes by.
The Ministry of Civil Aviation sets an ambitious target, operationalize 100 underserved airports and open 1,000 new air routes. With various iterations over the years, the Udan scheme has connected even the remotest part of India, making air travel a reality across the country.
I have travelled from Hubli to Bangalore and Bangalore to Hubli once using the Udan scheme. And personally for my city, Hubballi, it has benefited, and many business tycoons have come here, and many business people from Hubballi, which is also known as Chota Mumbai, have gone to other cities, and it has increased the ease of doing business.
Over 14 million passengers have benefited, with more than 280,000 flights operating under the scheme. As a rising pillar of global aviation ecosystem, India is on track to become a major aviation hub by the end of this decade. Today, 601 routes are operational, connecting airports across the country. The Udan scheme has transformed India's aviation sector, bridging regional gaps and making air travel accessible to millions of Indians. Udan truly soars high for India's common citizens. With camera person Ravi, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
All-rounder Amelia Kerr starred with bat and ball as New Zealand beat South Africa by 32 runs to lift their maiden Women's 2020 World Cup on Sunday after runners-up finishes in 2009 and 2010. New Zealand posted an impressive total of 158 runs, which is the second highest in Women's T20 World Cup final, scoring 73 runs in last 6 overs. Meanwhile, South Africa managed only 126 for 9 in their 20 overs, with captain Laura Woolward top scoring for the Proteas with 33 runs off 27 deliveries. South Africa won the toss and chose to bowl, striking early as Georgia Plymouth was dismissed for 9 in the second over. Former New Zealand captain Susie Bates on Sunday became the most capped player in women's international cricket when she was named in the playing 11 for her side's T20 World Cup Summit clash. The final clash was Susie's 334th outing in the Kiwis kit. The 37-year-old had made her international debut back in 2006 in an ODI against India at Lincoln. The venue eventually turned out to be her happy hunting ground, with her going on to score 843 runs in women ODIs at the venue, which is the most by a cricketer in the ODI format at the stadium. Bates also owns the record of scoring the most runs in the shortest format. In fact, she's the only cricketer to cross the 4,500 run mark. India's Harmanpreet Kaur in second place has a deficit of close to 1,000 runs. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.
agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.